Okay. Hi guys. Today we're going to have a grammar session on reported speech. Right? 1 second. Let me get this. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, fine. Yeah. I hope this is clear enough for you guys to read, or I'll just increase it a tad bit. 1 minute, please. Bear with me. Mm, yeah, this should do. I think this is good enough. Okay. So today we'll try to understand what is reported speech. Right? You must have heard of direct and indirect speeches. This is exactly what we're going to do today. So, direct speech is actually when a person directly says something to you. The dialogue itself is called direct speech. And reported speech is when someone else tells what the other person said. All right, that is reported. That is when you are reporting someone else's dialogue to another person. That is reported speech. As we move on with the session, you will get a clearer understanding of what I'm trying to say over here. All right, let's go through it with examples. Like you can again see over here. In direct speech, we use quotation marks to show the exact words. So whenever I'm going to, whenever you have to tell exactly what the person said, you'll always put it in quotation marks. This way, I know you are reporting the dialogue as it is. There are no changes in it. All right. So, like you can see over here, it says, I am hungry. So that means someone has directly said the sentence, I am hungry. I love chicken sandwiches. So the person has again directly said the line as it is, and I've written it down also as it is. For example, he said, comma, quotation marks, I am hungry. So whoever that person, or let me give a name to this, to the person. So I'll say Ravi says, or Ravi said, comma, in quotation marks, I am hungry. So I've directly written down the dialogue itself what Ravi said. That is direct speech. All right. Let's move further down and see now over here. There's another thing I want to clarify. You must have noticed over here in the reporting speech, when we do reported speech, the verbs that we use for reported speech is say and tell. Now, a lot of people, have this misconception, not misconception, they're actually not very clear when to use say and when to use tell. So whenever they frame sentences, they always use the wrong verb. Most of the times you'll see them use the wrong verb. They'll say he says or she says, whereas at that point of time we should have used the verb tell or told. Now let's get this clear today. What is the basic difference between say and tell? When do we use it? Especially if we're reporting something. Both of them are reporting verbs, both are correct, but the situation they will be used in is completely different. All right. Tell verb is used when you know whom are you speaking to. You know the person on the other side of the table who is your listener. Then we will say tell. When you are writing a very generic statement, you are not aware who the person is there in front of you. You don't even know who is listening to you. Then we'll use the verb say. He says he is hungry. That means it's a very general statement. I don't even know who's on the other side listening to me. But on the other side, if I say, he told me that he was hungry. So that means he knows who is on the other side. He knows who is listening to him. That is me. So he told me he was hungry. Fine. This is the only difference between say and tell. Please get this very clear, guys. Say is for a generic, you can use it like as a generic statement when you do not know who is listening to you. You do not know that whom are you talking to. We will use say. When you know whom are you talking to, who is on the other side, who is listening to you, you know that person, we will use tell. That's it. Do not get confused. Please do not even try to, get into the depth of it. This is the basic difference. That's all. Please remember that. Let's go through a few examples here below and you'll get a clearer understanding again. She tells me she loves chicken sandwiches. Here, the speaker is talking to me. That means the speaker knows whom is she talking to. She says she loves chicken sandwiches. In this sentence, she has no idea whom is she talking to. It's a very general statement. You can just put it like that. It's a general statement. Anyone can hear that sentence, but she has no idea whom is she talking to. The wrong way of framing a sentence is she says me she loves chicken sandwiches. Please get this other thing also clear. There is no such sentence as she says me. She told me she loves chicken sandwiches is perfectly correct. But when you want to use a pronoun after this with the verb say, you cannot use it directly. In fact, you cannot have it in present tense. It has to be in a past tense. She said to me she loves chicken sandwiches. You cannot say she says to me. This is also wrong. If you are using the reporting verb say and after that you want to use a pronoun, you cannot use it in present tense. It will always be a past tense. She said to me. There is no English grammar which says she says to me or she says to her or she says to you. No. She said to you, she said to me, she said to us. This is the right way of using it. Please remember this very carefully. If anytime you feel you want to take down notes, write it down. Do that, though you have the PDF here. You do not need it, but still, just to remember. Okay, so she says me she loves chicken sandwiches is completely wrong. We do not use that. Alright, we do not use pronouns when you're using a present tense form of the reporting verb, especially the say part. Now, like over here, you can see the correct is she said to me she loves chicken sandwiches. Fair enough. Now, other things, let's move it a bit forward. Let's understand with the reporting verbs. Now, if the reporting verb is in present tense, the reporting verbs, please remember, are say and tell. So, if your reporting verb is in present tense, the statement that is there, the reported statement will also stay in present tense. So if say the direct speech over here is he is hungry, he says. I have to report this. So I will say he says he is hungry. Present tense. Why? Because over here my verb is in present tense. So my statement is also in reported speech a present tense. Alright? She tells me. Tells is a present tense. So when I report it, she loves chicken sandwiches. She tells me she loves chicken sandwiches in reported speech. The pronoun, see in direct speech, I'm writing the dialogue as it is in quotation marks. But when I report it, my pronoun will change based on my subject over here. My subject is she. So in my reported statement, instead of I love chicken sandwiches, it will become she loves chicken sandwiches because I'm reporting it. Alright? So please remember and get this one point very clear. Now let's move again a bit down. 1 second. Oh, yeah, fine. Now, few things we need to understand. If the reporting verb is in past tense, like he said, she told, she said, we will change the present form to past form in the speech. Okay, like for example, again, he said he's hungry. So when I report it now, he said he was hungry. Why? Because my reported verb over here was in past tense, said. Alright. So, how do you decide when you're doing a reported verb that it changes? You have to, how do you know with the reported speech that it changes? You have to keep in mind of your reported verb over here. If it is in present tense, your statement stays in present tense. If your reported verb is in past tense, your entire statement, the speech changes to simple past tense. All right. Sorry. So this is one thing you need to understand step by step. She told me I love chicken sandwiches. Now, if I report this dialogue, she told me she loved chicken sandwiches. This present tense changes to past because I'm reporting it because my reported verb over here is past. Fine. So we change the pronoun when the speaker or listener changes. Now let's understand this concept also. Now here, a boy tells his mother, I am hungry. All right. Now the mother has to tell the father what did the boy say. So how does she report it? He said, because it's a boy, he said he was hungry. If, because now there can be another possibility, and I know you guys are thinking that here the verb is tells, so why are we using said over here? Fine, let's use it with the reporting verb tell. So now the mother again has to tell the father, what did the boy say? He told me he was hungry. This is also correct. You can say the same thing in two different ways. He said he was hungry, perfectly correct. He told me he was hungry, again perfectly correct. Fine. Please get this very clear over here. Now, when we are using said, yes, a lot of, many a times you must have heard people normally use that in the sentence when they're doing a reported speech. It is correct. For example, he said that he was hungry. He told me that he was going out. It is correct. He told me he was going out. He told me that he was going out. He said he was hungry. He said that he was hungry. It's up to you. Whatever style you are comfortable with, whatever style you think you'll remember, please use that. That is also correct. And without that is also correct. Okay. So we can use that. And if not, obviously. So like he said that he was hungry. He said he was hungry. Correct. She told me that she loved chicken sandwiches. She told me she loved chicken sandwiches. Perfectly correct. It's up to you. Use anything that you are comfortable with. Now, this is all basically about reported speech. But now we need to understand if our verbs, when they change, and then when we do a reported speech, how, in what context, not context, sorry, in what style will our statements, the verb statements change, reported verb statements change. So in reported speech, we usually move the direct speech verb one step back. For example, I have a simple present tense here. I know you, but now I need to do a reported speech. So she said she knew him. So if I have a present tense in a direct speech over here and I need to do a reported, it will automatically change to simple past tense. That's it. If I have a present continuous in my direct speech, I'm having coffee. It will automatically change to a past continuous tense. He was having coffee. Just remember, it will go one step back. If I have a present perfect tense in direct speech, I have finished my homework. The direct speech, I have to report it. I will change my present perfect tense to past perfect tense. Sorry, past perfect tense. He had finished his homework. I mean, I'm just generic. I'm using he had. It could also be she had finished her homework. Depends whatever pronoun you want to use at that point of time or based on the situation. All right. If I have a present perfect continuous tense in my direct speech, I have been studying Chinese, it will automatically change to past perfect. She had been studying Chinese. Now, if I am in my direct speech, I'm using I am going to go home. Is going to. This is my direct speech verb. I am going to go home. It will change to past. She was going to go home. So the is, which is the present tense, becomes the past. Was. The rest stays the same. Going to. That won't change. So I am going to go home. She was going to go home. Or you can say he was going to go home. Right? Now let's look in the future. If you have a simple future tense, I will go to the bank later. It will change to would. He would go to the bank later, because if you guys remember, though will is a model, the past tense of will is would. Okay, so simple. If I have a will in present in my direct speech, it goes one step back, which means it'll become my past tense, so will becomes a would. He said he would go to the bank later. Right? These tenses that you see changing over here, these are the few things you just need to remember. Once or twice you'll practice, it'll be clear in your head, you'll understand everything. And then it's easy, and you start implementing it. Try and frame a lot of sentences, write down based on on your professional life or personal life. Just frame sentences. Once you start implementing them in writing and speaking, it's a matter of few days and it'll be easy for you. Okay, so now over here, few notes. Now, a reported statement in the simple past tense often stays the same. So if you already have a sentence, the direct speech is in already past tense. I drove to work and I have to report it. It will stay as simple past tense. She drove to work. There are no changes there. Okay. Now, if in my direct speech I have a past perfect tense, I had driven to work, it will stay the same in reported speech, had driven to work. What we are trying to say, if your direct speech is already in past tense, there are no changes in your reported speech. They will stay exactly the same. The tenses will not change. You will keep it in past perfect tense. That's it. Sorry, you will keep it in past tense. That's it. So if my direct speech has a past tense, my reported speech is a past tense. If my direct speech is past perfect, my reported speech is past perfect. The changes will only happen if your direct speech is in present tense or in future tense. Only then it changes to the past tense. Simple present becomes simple past. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Present perfect becomes past perfect. Past perfect continuous becomes past perfect continuous. Sorry, present perfect continuous becomes past perfect continuous. And then future tenses will, past tense becomes would. That's it. Okay, now what happens when we use models? All right, let's go through that. My direct speech says, I can't speak Turkish, or I can speak Turkish. Simple, can, past tense of can is could. She could speak Turkish, she could not speak Turkish. Again, I must wash my hair, I mustn't wash my hair. Changes to, she had to wash her hair, she didn't have to wash her hair. Here you'll have to be careful when you're doing it with mustn't. Why? Because your helping verb will change into the past negative. Did not. And the base form of the verb stays as it is, have to. She didn't have to wash her hair. Okay. Now let's look at some models that do not change when we do a reported speech. So for example, if in my, one second guys, again, unfortunately, yeah. Okay. So now let's say in our direct speech, we are already using the past tense of models, that is could, would, should, might. They will not change in your reported speech. They will stay as it is. I could take the bus. He said he could take the bus. The model does not change. The verbs will not change. I should go to bed. She said she should go to bed. He says, comma, quotation marks, I might watch TV. He said he might watch TV. So there are these certain verbs that do not change. So if your direct speech is already using could, should, might, they will stay as it is. Even would is included here. If they will stay as it is in your reported speech, they will not change. The could in reported speech will not go back and become can, not possible. It's like I said, the past in reported speech, sorry, in direct speech stays past in the reported speech. No changes. All right. Now, one other thing. We do not change the verb in reported speech if the situation has not changed. For example, if it is a fact, or you're giving a scientific fact or a general fact or a truth statement, it will stay as it is. For example, I love you. It's a truth. She told me she loves me. It will not change. The verb does not change. Why is it loves? Because I'm reporting it. She told, I love you. She told me she loves me. Because it's a third person singular pronoun, the verb is plural. Rules will not change for verbs. Okay. Now here. But we can use the past tense to show you're not certain the other person loves him or her. For example, the other person was not telling the truth. You are not sure whether whatever the person said, is it true or is it false? Then we use the past tense. I love you. She said she loved me. Sorry. All right. But if you're certain that whatever she said is true, it's a fact, then you will leave the reported verb as it is in present tense. You will not change it into past tense. Fine? So now like here, a direct question. Let's look at the questions. The question is, where are you from? Now I have to report this question. He asked where I was from. Fine? Where I was from. Crisscross. To form a reported question, you need to follow these steps. Now let's look at the steps we need to follow. Now when you're using a reported verb, he asked where I was from. When you're repeating the question word, he asked where I was from, you will change the pronouns. He asked where I was from. You're changing the pronouns with a question. I've changed my reported verb. I said asked. I changed my question verb word where, and I changed my pronoun I. Moved the tense back from present. I moved it to past tense. He asked where I was from. Right? And use statement word order. Normally questions is where the verb comes first, the subject comes later. Now I've done a crisscross. I brought my subject first and my verb later. So he asked where I was from. These are the changes that took place. Right? Now if we have a yes or no question, we will use if or whether. Is it 2 o'clock? It's a yes or no question. So your answer would be yes, it is 2 o'clock, or no, it's not 2 o'clock. But now we need to report this question. We have to use it in the reported sense. She asked if it was 2 o'clock. Because my reported speech is in present tense, my direct speech is in present tense, so my reported speech moves to past tense. And because it's a question, I'll do a crisscross in the reported format. She asked if it was 2 o'clock. She asked whether it was 2 o'clock. Anything you can use. If or whether depends upon your mood. Whatever you're comfortable with, use it, but in this format only. Alright? I hope you guys are clear till here. It's understood. Not very difficult. The only thing you guys need to remember is in what tense do you get your direct speech. If it's present, you convert that to past. If it's already in past, then it stays in past. Just remember these few changes. You're good to go. Okay, so now let's look at this. So I have a positive sentence. I love you. He said he loved her. I've been working hard. Again, it's a very positive sentence. She told me she had been working hard. She'd been working hard. I'll see you later. He said he would see me later. Because I'll over here is I will. So will becomes would. Have over here becomes had. Love is loved. Now if I have a negative sentence, I didn't have time to go shopping. So he said he hadn't had time to go shopping. Right? So I'm over here using past perfect, had, but in a negative format. I didn't have. Didn't have is what? Present perfect tense. So I've converted it to past perfect tense. Please read the sentence very carefully and understand. The direct speech verb is a present perfect tense in a negative sentence. I did not have time to go shopping. I didn't have time to go shopping. So when I did a reported speech of it, it converted to past perfect tense. He hadn't had time to go shopping. All right. I can't talk to you. She told me that she couldn't talk to me. Can converts to couldn't, could. And obviously because it's negative, so couldn't, cannot becomes could not. That's it. Simple. I wouldn't want to live in the country. Now would is already past tense. I would not want to live in the country. So my reported speech will stay in past tense. He wouldn't want to live in the country. No changes at all in the verb. Alright? It's just that simple. Please remember the format. Please remember the tenses of your direct speech, in what format you need to change it. It's easy, not very difficult. Now over here, if you have a question, where can I buy a hamburger? It's a direct question, but now someone else is reporting it. She said where she could buy a hamburger. So I, obviously my subject, sorry, 1 second. So here, it's a direct question, where can I buy a hamburger is correct, but I reported my subject comes first, my verb comes second. I do a crisscross. Where she could buy a hamburger, because can is in present tense. In reported speech, it becomes could. Who must I see at the bank? It's must. So we'll change to had to in reported speech. He said who he had to see at the bank. It changes. Must will become had to. You've already gone through it above with the models. You guys can scroll back up again and you'll go through it. You'll remember. Are you going to Leela's party? I have to report this. So she asked, because it's a yes or no question. Are you going to Leela's party? Yes, I am going. No, I'm not going. Yes or no question. But now if I report it, I can use if or whether. So she asked if I was going to Leela's party. Or she asked whether I was going to Leela's party. Any one of it. Okay. So like I said, short answers. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Now, if you have answers in the direct speech, it's just a direct dialogue. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I have to report this. I said I was. For example, let's take the above question. Are you going to Leila's party? Yes, I am going to Leila's party. But now I have to report my answer. So, I said I was going to Leila's party. No, I'm not going to Leila's party. I said I wasn't going to Leila's party. Alright? Now, let's take down some notes, some facts and general truths to understand this. We do not change the verb in reported speech if the situation has not changed. For example, when you're giving facts or truth, then nothing changes. Your verb will not change. Right? She told me she loves me. It will stay in present tense only. The speaker uses the present tense to show that he believes the other person still loves him or her. So when you believe the person is saying the truth, it stays in present tense. Only when you're not sure that whether the person is speaking the truth or not, if you're not sure, you have some doubt, you will change it to past tense. She told me she loved me. The speaker is not sure. Why is he using it the past tense? Because he isn't certain that the other person loves him. The person is not sure about it. Okay? You're not sure whether you tell the truth. So then you will convert that. It will not say a truth anymore. You convert it to past tense. Now let's look at past perfect. The past perfect does not change in reported speech because there isn't a verb from further back in time. Past perfect is the last. You cannot, there's no other verb to go beyond that. It's a simple past tense. After that, it's a past perfect tense. So that is why if you have a past perfect tense already in a direct speech, You cannot go one step back. So it sticks to past perfect only. I had never eaten sushi before I went to Japan. I have to report this. She told me that she had never eaten sushi before she went to Japan. Right? The past will stay in the past. The past perfect stays in the past perfect. Please understand this. We have done it above also. I know it's like a repetition, but this is for you guys to remember and understand it that when we do a past tense, nothing much changes. It doesn't change, nothing much. It doesn't change at all. It only changes if your direct speech has anything in present tense. Please understand this and remember this. All right. If you are using in models can, will, when you have to report it, that will change to past tense. But already if you have a could, should, might, would in your direct speeches, it will not change in your reported speech. It stays as it is. All right. Now let's look at some reporting verbs here. Now we can use different verbs to report our thoughts, opinions, or intentions. So if any time your direct speech or your dialogue is related to what you are thinking, it's related to your opinions if you have any, and it's related to your intentions. So now how do we report it? For example, the statement says, I know which way to go. Right, it's your opinion. He thought he knew which way to go. I stole the books. It's his intention. He stole it. He admitted that he had stolen the books. Intention. You're talking about the person's intention. Why doesn't she like me? You're thinking. Why doesn't she like me? He wondered why she didn't like him. It will change here. So these verbs, I would want you guys to note it down and at least try and in these situations when it's related to thoughts, opinions, and intentions, try and frame sentences based on these situations and then do a reported speech so that you get used to it. And once you've framed at least around 5 to 10 sentences, try and use it in your speaking whenever you feel a certain situation has come. You can you and if you're talking about your opinion, you want to give your kind of you sharing your thoughts, or you want to tell about your intention, anything, please try and use these verbs, because until and unless you will not implement it in your speaking or writing, you will not remember the changes. You will not remember what has to be said when, and you will continue committing the same mistakes, which you know is not a good sign. So just try and implement them in your writing and speaking. Everything will fall in place. All right. Now, in the end, let's look at the spoken English format now. Like how it is. Some contracted forms in reported speech can be difficult to hear. For example, especially when you're using the contracted forms, for some people it gets difficult to understand, what have they said. For example, the past perfect and conditional. He asked who'd eaten the cake. I told him he'd have to take the train. In the first example, the words who and had becomes who'd. In the second example, he and would become he'd. So when you see a who apostrophe D, you think who had, so it's who'd. And when we have a he apostrophe D, do not assume it to be he had. It will be he would. Okay. In both examples, two different words are shortened to D sound. So be very careful. Who'd eaten the cake is who had eaten the cake, and he'd have to take the train means he would have to. Here you will have to be a little careful about your contractions part. Fine. I hope you guys have understood reported speech. I hope I've tried to make myself as clear as possible with it. In the end, I just want to say, please go through it again. Please try and implement the changes, that are required when you're doing a reported speech. Practice it in writing, practice it in speaking. The more you do it, it's better for you. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day.